Gambia Press Union Secretary General today continues the long list of inhuman treatments in the form of killings, torture, enforced disappearance, and harassment meted on media fraternity at the ongoing public hearing of the TRRC. African leaders commit to unite the continent's 1.3 billion people as they ratify the new free trade zone in Jammeh. So far, no side have claimed responsibility as the only functioning airport in the Libyan capital have been involved in alleged rocket attack. The International Criminal Court convicted former Congolese military leader Bosco Ntaganda of war crimes. Hello viewers, you're watching the World Today Noon Bulletin. I am Fatmata Jaju. We now kick off with our first story. Saikou Jammeh, Secretary General, who represented the Union today, continues the long list of inhuman treatments in the form of killings, torture, enforced disappearance, and harassment meted on the media fraternity. In today's hearing at the TRRC, Mr. Jammeh told the Commission that former President Yahya Jammeh has closed some of the print and media in the country in order to oppress the work of the journalists in the Gambia, and because of that fear the journalists have in their profession, most of them left the country for their safety. Saikou Jammeh added that from 1994 to 2016, 140 journalists were arrested and detained under Jammeh's regime. Lamin Cham, the editor-in-chief of Standard newspaper, was the first to appear yesterday before the commission for having undergone arrest, detention, and torture by security operatives. Mr. Cham told the commission that he was taken first to police headquarters in Banjul and then to the NIA office where he was tortured for 5 days by a team led by Tumbul Tamba and Musa Jammeh. Let's take a look.
Happened when nightfall arrived?
Well, I actually recognized one Mohammed Haidara when he was leaving, before he came back in the night. When he was leaving, he told me, Mr. Charles, you know what brought you here? I said, no, I had no idea. Even though I was told, I had the policeman talking about, I told him I didn't know what brought me here. He said, you'll find out in good time. He left.
So when you say Mohammed Haidara, do you know who he was at the time?
He was deputy director of NIA. The director then was Harry Sambu.
And is it Mohammed or Momodu?
Mohammed Haidara.
Mohammed, okay.
Yeah.
That's your record.
Mohammed and Muhammadu sometimes, but I think Mohammed Haidara.
But from
Haidara
what you
certainly.
said, he was the deputy director
He
of
was
the
the
NIA
deputy
at the
director
time.
of NIA.
So after that conversation with him, and he told you, you will soon find out why you're here.
He left.
He left?
Yeah.
What happened next?
In the middle of the night, about 2 a.m. or something like that, I was sleeping actually, I was woke from sleep. Somebody woke me up and said, yes, come.
Where were you sleeping at that point?
That reception I told you. And I followed the person. I didn't know the person from Adam. I've never seen the person. And I followed him. Then I was taken behind a building, the main building at the NIA then. And there was some sort of a ring, like some people put some stone boulders around a strip of sand, as you often see all around. Yeah, when people are constructing something. So I was taken to that ring and placed in the middle of the ring. And suddenly I saw Tumbul Tamba. Tumbul Tamba I recognized from him. He was from the State Guards, and Musa Jammeh, who was called Maliamugu.
When you saw them, can you tell us what happened?
Well, even before I actually asked anything or found out anything, blows, whips, raids started falling on me. I could not understand, but I saw 8 other people who were obviously drunk. From meters you could breathe, you could smell alcohol from their breath. I've never met them, I've never known them, and they didn't look like they know me because they were total strangers to me. But Tumbul Tamba and Musa Jammeh, I knew them before. They were the ones leading that torture.
were telling us about the gang of 8 men
Yeah.
who were torturing you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what exactly they were doing and what they were using to do it?
Well, they had a lot of them had whips, like canes, which are obviously in robbers. It looks like a robber chain or something. Others were using only their fists. They were stamping me from the back. They strapped my hands behind my back so I could not resist. And others were stamping on my feet, my legs, everywhere. I was bleeding everywhere, profusely bleeding. Every part of my body was bleeding.
Chief editor of the Standard newspaper, Lamin Cham, there testifying before the Truth Reconciliation Commission yesterday. African leaders have over the weekend launched a continental free trade zone that, if successful, would unite the continent's 1.3 billion people, create a 3.4 trillion economic bloc, and usher in a new era of development. At an extraordinary summit in Jammeh, Niger's capital, African leaders from the African Union used a hammer to launch 4 operational tools ratified by 27 countries to mark the start of the agreement following 4 years of talks. The landmark agreement is set to remove most of tariffs and other commercial obstacles for the bloc. Economists say significant challenges remain, including poor road and rail links, large areas of unrest, excessive border bureaucracy, and petty corruption that have held back growth and integration. The IMF, in a report published 2 months ago, described a free trade zone as a potential economic game changer of the kind that has boosted growth in Europe and North America, but it added a note of caution. We have more in this report.
A milestone for Africa with the launch of a continental free trade zone. Leaders from across the continent met on Sunday to introduce the Free Trade Bloc, the largest since the creation of the World Trade Organization in 1994. If successful, the African Continental Free Trade Area will unite 1.3 billion people and create a $3.4 trillion economic bloc, ushering in a new era of development by boosting intra-regional trade, strengthening supply chains and spreading expertise.
The eyes of the world are turned on Africa, and the success of AFCFTA will be the real test to achieve the economic growth that will turn our people's dream of welfare and quality of life into a reality. And this will reinforce our negotiating position on the international, political and economic stages.
Africa has much catching up to do. Intra-regional trade accounted for just 17% of exports in 2017, significantly lower than the 59% in Asia and 69% in Europe. It's taken 4 years of talks for an agreement to be reached on forming the bloc, and there's still challenges to overcome, including poor road and rail links, excessive border bureaucracy and petty corruption, and unrest in large parts of the continent.
We need to act quickly to reach these targets and implement the strategies. And in particular, we need to halt the threats facing the Sahel region and the Lake Chad countries. It is a matter of urgency that we get out of the Libyan crisis and that we silence weapons in Central African Republic and Somalia.
54 of Africa's 55 states have signed up to the bloc, but so far only around half of them have ratified the deal. The continent already has an alphabet soup of competing and overlapping trade zones, from ECOWAS in the west, East African Community in the east, and COMESA in the east and south. Only the East African Community, driven mainly by Kenya, has made significant progress towards a common market in goods and services.
27 African countries ratified the Free Continental Trade, which looks forward to bringing African population under one umbrella. Air traffic at Tripoli's Mitiga airport was temporarily suspended following an alleged rocket attack on the vicinity on Sunday. As you can see, footage filmed yesterday shows an Airbus A320 belonging to Africa Airlines, which has sustained damage to its body and has been temporarily parked. 3 technicians from the said airline, Africa, were also reportedly injured as a result of the incident. Mitiga, which is said to be the only functioning airport in the Libyan capital. No groups or individuals have so far claimed responsibility for the incident. But the spokesperson for the Libyan National Army Commander Khalifa Haftar has since said the government buildings Tripoli, which have antennas installed on rooftops, are legitimate targets. This came in days after forces loyal to the same Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar admitted carrying out an airstrike on a migrant camp, killing at least 44 people. Coming up shortly, ICC convicts Congo's Ntaganda of war crimes.
Victims, you are giving it to parliamentarians. Where is the source? The parliamentarians themselves should challenge that. Look, Trrc and GDC were opposition. All other parties, that doesn't concern either UDP or NRP or PDP, they are all in the government. So we better want to man dama against ID card mu nekk $450 man mosuma si anata du mosuma sa anda
yow xaalis boobu nu mu fa ñëwee loolu nga war a njëkk a laajte because social security institution doo xam ne social security warut a ñàkk a xaalis yëfi profit social security loolu waxtaani banda la loolu dafa war a automatique
Barrow lu ma ko ñaan mooy na wàcce 3 years am su demee 5 years dafa am problème leadership bu fi bàyyi dafa bon right now amul direction bu correct réew mi ñëpp seen am na disappointment si nguuri Barrow
benn nit munta jagal réew da ngaa def li nga war a def bàyyi keneen ñu continuer
Welcome back. We remind you that you're watching the World Today News Bulletin. We now take a look at our remaining stories. The European Commission has warned Iran after the country said they would begin enriching uranium at higher levels than internationally approved. The EU Foreign Affairs and Security Policy spokeswoman Majakos Jinak told reporters at a news briefing in Brussels that the Union is extremely concerned about Iran's decision to increase uranium enrichment above the limit set by the 2015 nuclear agreement, urging Tehran to return to its earlier commitment.
Indeed, we are extremely concerned by announcements made over the weekend by Iran regarding the start of the uranium enrichment above the limit of 3.67%, which is the one that is stipulated in the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. In this context, we await the information of the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is the only impartial body that is in charge of monitoring the implementation of Iran's commitments, nuclear-related commitments under the JCPOA. We have called on Iran to not to take further measures that undermine the nuclear deal, and we now strongly urge Iran to stop and reverse all activities that are inconsistent with the commitments made under the JCPOA. That also includes the production of low-enriched uranium beyond the respective JCPOA stockpile limits, and you would remember developments in this respect of last week. We are currently in contact with other JCPOA participants regarding the next steps under the terms of the JCPOA, including a joint commission. I don't have further precisions on that before you ask. And on your last part of your questions, there are provisions in JCPOA in terms of certain steps, for example, the dispute resolution mechanism. But I don't want to start speculating on this either. I think that the clear call that we as the European Union are making is the one on Iran to stop and reverse all activities that are inconsistent with the commitments made under JCPOA.
The European Union Commission spokesperson there warning Iran over increase in uranium enrichment. The International Criminal Court has found Bosco Ntaganda guilty beyond reasonable doubt of 18 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in Democratic Republic of Congo between 2002 and 2003. Investigation into the situation in the Congo DRC was opened in June 2004, leading to the 2 arrest warrants for Mr. Ntaganda in 2006 and 2012 respectively. He voluntarily surrendered in March 2013 through the cooperation of the United States, whose embassy he had entered. We have more in this report.
Mr. Ntaganda, please rise.
The International Criminal Court convicted former Congolese military leader Bosco Ntaganda of war crimes on Monday.
Count 1, guilty of murder as crime against humanity. As concerns count 2, guilty of murder as a war crime.
He was found guilty of all 18 charges against him, including murder, rape and conscription of child soldiers. The atrocities took place while he was military operations chief at the Union of Congolese Patriots militia in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo in 2002 to 2003. His sentence will be determined at a later hearing. Ntaganda's conviction is a rare success for prosecutors at the ICC, an international court set up in 2002 to prosecute war crimes and crimes against humanity when its member states are unable or unwilling to do so. Ntaganda's boss, UPC leader Thomas Lubanga, is currently serving a 14-year prison sentence after his conviction at the ICC in 2012.
Former Congolese military chief convicted by the ICC of war crimes committed in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Thousands of people from all over the world set off for a 3-day peace march in Bosnia and Herzegovina to commemorate the 24th anniversary of the genocide in Srebrenica. More than 5,000 participants who gathered in the city since early morning hours have covered a total distance of approximately 100 kilometers. The walk then concluded at a cemetery in Potokari, a village in eastern Bosnia, just northwest of Srebrenica town, where a funeral prayer and burial have been held for 33 victims of genocide. Well, viewers, that's all we have for you on the World Today Noon Bulletin. For more on these and other stories, kindly log on to our website, iafrica.tv. I am Fatma Tajaju. Please stay tuned for the TRRC broadcast.